Daoud Kuttab, let me start with you. Talking to Gideon Levy, the Israeli journalist there a moment ago, we were talking about the fact that more than 500 Palestinians, including women and children, have been killed since the ceasefire was announced last October. In your view, has the ceasefire achieved anything?
Well, there's an imbalance of power. Israel is a very powerful military country supported by one of the most powerful countries, or the most powerful countries in the world. And Palestinians are weak. And so a ceasefire is only carried out as much as the Israeli government and the Prime Minister of Israel wants it to be carried out. And so they're basically applying the principle that possession is two-thirds of the law, and they're doing whatever they want with a ceasefire. Yet, despite all that, slowly but surely, some of the things are changing, and Israel is having to give up its position, not because it wants to, but because it cannot give any more excuses for trying to end the war. They don't want the war to end, because the end of the war means that Netanyahu might go to prison or might be out of a job.
When you say some things are changing, Daoud, expand on that for us. What things do you believe have changed?
Well, I think the beginning of the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, even though it's not being carried out as planned, and the fact that the Rafah crossing point is so slowly but surely open, and a few people are coming out and coming back in, that's not what we want, but at least it's the beginning of a process. And I think for me, the most important change will be the moment armed foreign troops enter into Gaza. This will be the most important change in the 57 years of Israeli occupation. For the first time in 6 decades almost, a foreign military power will be breaking the Israeli hegemony and the Israeli control over our lives. Israel has us with a chokehold of their military power, and now, hopefully, when there is a military soldiers who belong to somebody other than the Israeli government, will be the beginning of the change and the end of this terrible Israeli occupation.
Daoud Kuttab, for many of these conditions in the peace plan to be met, it will require the involvement of the United States, probably even pressure from the United States for these conditions to be met. Do you think there should be more done right now by the U.S.? Is the U.S. doing enough?
It's a very hard question to answer because of the lack of continuity from the White House. We don't see a stable, well-planned execution of a plan. They come in, they get excited, they send Jared Kushner and Stephen Witkoff, and they get things done, and then they go back to Ukraine and other countries in Greenland, and then 2 months later they wake up again, nothing has happened, so they send them again. There's not a plan that is really being executed, followed up every day. There is a military kind of headquarters just outside of Gaza that is supposed to be following up, but all these issues require the beginning. We still have not started with, first, the 15-member Palestinian committee, which was agreed to by everyone, has not even been allowed by Israel to enter. Netanyahu said their logo I didn't like. Apparently, he was looking at a fake logo, and I want to make sure that their logo is correct. Again, these excuses that everyone has been talking about continues. They have not even been. The Hamas has said we're willing to turn over everything to the new committee, which we support. Let them come in, and the Israelis are not letting them come in. So yes, we have a problem in the execution. Once we get the Palestinian semi-government or administration in Gaza and it starts to take power, once we have armed forces secure inside Gaza, then I think the situation will start changing. And I think the Israelis will realize that they cannot keep holding off. And if there is any clash, that's when things will really be a big problem. But right now, we have not been able to get things started. They announced in Israel, in the U.S., second phase has started, and then Netanyahu said, no, we didn't agree with that. They didn't coordinate with us. The Israelis have to approve everything.
Yeah.
Rafah was opened, and then Israel created a new border just behind Rafah. So anybody coming in and out first has to go through the Israel. So what good is the Rafah opening, since they have to go through Israel before they can leave? And then Israel is trying to manage that only 150 can leave, but only 50 can return. So they're
Yeah.
trying to re-engineer the situation.